We are live. Welcome to episode 19 of Mad Chat. I am your host, Coach Cala, and this is the podcast where we talk NCAA wrestling, US Open wrestling that's coming up, RAF. I plan on doing that as well. But if you've been with me for the previous 18 episodes, I try to do live predictions for NCAA wrestling, and typically I will go live during a match. So I really appreciate you all joining me. I absolutely love NCAA wrestling. My goal for 2026 was to start my own podcast and talk about it live with you all. Sometimes I'll do reviews too about controversial calls in the past, and I plan on doing that on Sunday. If you missed my last week's episode, I did my Penn State prediction or my Penn State lineup predictions for last year, and I also did one of the controversial calls from like 10 years ago, Jason Nolf versus Hayden Hidley, and go back and watch that if you're into that type of stuff, because I'm all about that. This Sunday, I plan on doing one or two videos like that, so stay tuned. But I'm typically dropping on Wednesdays. Right now, it's just weekly. I still go to school and I teach, but we are on spring break, so I really want to do my best to drop this video. If you're super new to the channel, I also do a Get Moving podcast and talk about marathon running, HYROX training, and I will be dropping shoe reviews again starting this Saturday or Sunday. So stay tuned for all that stuff. But regardless, we're here for NCAA wrestling talk. And with the whole transfer portal going on, I felt like this was the perfect time for me to do my NCAA finals predictions for next year. I know a lot of YouTube channels do that, so shout out to all of them too. Like Flow Wrestling, Cactus Wrestling, Love Watching, all those guys. And I was like, let me just take my take on this stuff, because I'm really curious to see if they have different ones when they drop their videos, or if they're all going to be similar. And I also enjoy using WrestleStat. Like, I'm not trying to, hide anything here, people. If you're into this stuff, you should go out there, get moving, and try your own thing if you're interested. I'm a big fan of WrestleStat, and that's what we're going to use today to pick our picks. I'm also going to go right into it and say I don't think anyone is challenging Penn State next year for the 2026-2027 team title, but for 27-28, they might, unless Oklahoma State gets a few more big names going to their team. So we'll see. But I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to talk some locks, contenders, sleepers, dark horses, finals matchups, mainly who's going to win the 2027 NCAA wrestling final picks. So please let me know if you're watching, and if you could share, if you could see my screen. I know last week when I tried sharing, there were a few issues. Not really sure what that's about. I'm doing my best here, so please let me know if you can see it in the chat. But I love starting at 125. Again, this is just WrestleStat. I'm not doing anything crazy. I don't think I paid for this either, so it's pretty amazing how people are just letting us use their stuff. Shout out WrestleStat. All right. Can you see my screen, people? Please let me know. I know one person's watching. All right. Well, I'm assuming you can see it. So we're going to get right into it. Now, for 125, we have the returning champ, Luke Lildahl. 2 years ago, returning finalist Troy Spratley, Joey Volk, who did very well this year, Eddie Ventresca, Nick Bouzakis, who was probably the biggest. Actually, him and Eddie Ventresca were probably the two biggest names that didn't place at 125 this year. We got Mark McGowan, Trevor Anderson. Now, I just realized what's going on with some of the names I don't see, like Vincent Robinson or Nico Provo. I think since they're in the portal, that it's tougher, or WrestleStat can't put them in, which I think is ridiculous. But from Connecticut, me, and Nico Provo being from Connecticut, he is my lock for next year's pick at 125. He not only beat Vincent Robinson once this year, but he beat him twice for that third place All-American spot at the NCAAs. And I think Nico Provo's a dog, and he's going to get it done next year. So shout out Nico Provo. I think you got it at 125. And I think he's going to upset Luke Lildahl in the finals, making it Luke's first loss of the year for his junior year next year. So I have at 125, I think the returning champ's going to make it, but I think Nico Provo from Connecticut is going to beat him in the final. So I got at 125, Provo versus Luke Lildahl. Now, I know there's a few big names coming up as freshmen, like Leo DeLuca at Iowa. However, he got hurt earlier in the year, and I know he's a really tough wrestler, but I think he's just going to be an All-American or just an NCAA qualifier. I think that adjusting to that first year is going to be really tough, especially coming off an injury, but he was a dog in high school. I don't see Nick Bouzakis staying at 133 or at 125. I think he's bumping up to 133. Ventresca had a tough tournament, tough to count on him. Spratley's looking tougher, but he can't get past Lilidol yet. Jory Volk's really wrestling tough, and everybody else is a tough wrestler. But I'm really interested to see where Vincent Robinson goes and Nico Provo, because where they went. Does anybody go to Iowa? Do they go to Penn State? I don't know. But right now, my pick is going to be Provo versus Luke Lilidol. And I got Provo as my lock for 125 next year. Crazy that I saw him 3 days after he took third at the NCAA finals in 2026 in our hometown of Milford, Connecticut. So shout out to Nico. You rock, man. But let's move on, chat, to 133. I don't care if there's one person watching or 1,000. This is great content, so tune in. Don't forget to like and subscribe and check out my other stuff on my YouTube channel, people. Let's go. Thursday at 12. It's a little bit different than my Wednesdays, but I'm not worried about it. All right. So interesting enough for 133, they don't have Jack Forrest here. They believe, or WrestleStat, and I think Flo was mentioning this as well, they are mentioning that people are going to bump up a lot next year, which I can see happen, but I'm also not too confident about that one yet. I just think there's too much weight cutting going on, and I don't think that's a problem for Jack Forrest. I think he will be fine going in at 133 again. But right now, let's just see what they have. Returning national finalist, Ben Zavino. Aaron Seidel took third. Marcus Blaze fourth. Kyler Larkin. Don't believe he plays. Jacob Van D. So pretty much all the top four were freshmen this year at 133, and they're freshman phenoms. But I do believe Marcus Blaze is going to redshirt. I think Ono from Penn State, the Japan transfer, world champion, the only one to beat Spencer Lee at, what was that? Was that who's number? No, not who's number one. At that Flow Wrestling tournament last year. I have Ono wrestling, but I don't know if Ono is going to be great on top bottom. I'm sure he is, but I feel like the way Seidel beat up Blaze, and I haven't seen this matchup between Ben Davino and Aaron Seidel, it's tough. But I would say my underdog pick for this weight class will be Aaron Seidel versus Ben Davino. But I think the bracket buster for this weight class and potential champion could be Ono from Penn State. I don't want to mess up his first name, but Ono from Penn State is an absolute dog. I think Marcus Blaze is going to redshirt. So we'll see what happens there. But right now, I think my two picks are the two that WrestleStat has at the top, with Aaron Seidel versus Ben Davino. I do think I do think Ono could be the dark horse of the tournament and overall win it at 133. But I'm not sure if he's even going to wrestle yet. And that's another topic that's been going on around other YouTube channels too. I just think he's there to just help people get better at freestyle, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. But from 133 right now, I'm going with Aaron Seidel versus Ben Davino. Now, if WrestleStat has Jack Forrest coming back down to 133, I think he's a lock. I think he could potentially be a four-timer for Oklahoma State. But right now, I'm just going off of what WrestleStat has in my own predictions. And then I'm going to write dark horse or bracket buster will be Penn State. So right now I got 1 for Stanford if Provo stays, and 1 for either Ohio State, Virginia Tech, or Penn State. So we'll see. I think I would have the edge for Seidel to win it all for next year. But if Ono does wrestle and he's an absolute terror to everybody, he's going to be my dark horse and pick for the tournament. But right now I'm going to go with Seidel versus Davino because I do believe Blaze is going to redshirt. But it's not here on WrestleStat, so I don't want to get all crazy and play tennis in my head and go back and forth, But if Ono does wrestle, he is my pick for next year. If he doesn't wrestle, I'm going to edge it over to Aaron Seidel because his offense and top game is way too good. Now, I know Davino's nasty. And he did very great this year. Just the way that Seidel beat up Marcus Blaze is not how Davino beat up Marcus Blaze. And I know matchups matter and this and that, but come on, that was a great match where he rode him out for 2 minutes, got a sick turn. I think he beat him 4-0. I mean, nobody beats Marcus Blaze 4-0. That was crazy. Moving on to 141, people. This is where we're going to get some talking going. And then also, I'm not talking about the Rainey brothers yet. That should be in at 133. Actually, let me see if they even are on here at the bottom. But the Rainey brothers are coming in next year. They're two beasts. They're two of the people that beat Bo Bassett. Yeah, I don't see them on here yet. Unless I missed it. I think they'll be great. I don't know if they'll be ready to be an NCAA champion yet, though. Moving on to 141. Here we are. Jax Forrest, Luke Stanich. Now, if they both bump up, this is going to be sick because Forrest is not the strongest guy, but he is really impressive at wrestling. Anthony Eckamandia, Luke Stanich, Carter Nogel, Vince Cordella, Vance Bombar, Nate Desmond. Here is somebody I wanted to talk about. Desmond is the only person to beat Luke Lildahl last year. If you didn't watch that match at the Black Knight Duel, go check that out after this video. Nate Desmond is an absolute dog, and I think he's going to be starting for sure over Braden Davis. He's an absolute beast. And I also believe that Luke Stanich is an absolute beast. I think he took fourth, though, last year. Yeah, he lost to Brock Hardy in the third and fourth round match, I believe. Luke Stanich is an absolute dog. Do I think any of these guys can beat Jax Forrest? No, but the muscle from Eckamandia, Nate Desmond, and Luke Stanich, they are pretty jacked up, and Forrest is pretty lanky. But who are we kidding, guys? He destroyed the 125-pounder from Cornell, Vito Arujau, and he just walked through this NCAA tournament. There were a few rage baiters on TikTok saying that he had the easy side of the bracket. Get out of here. He just transferred from high school. I don't care about his age and all that stuff. He's a beast. He's must-watch TV. Jax Forrest will be my definite winning pick at 141 for next year. And I think he will be wrestling Nate Desmond in the finals. I think that's going to spark a true opponent rivalry for a Penn State versus Jax Forrest, or a Penn State versus Oklahoma State. We were all hoping to see Marcus Blaze versus Jax Forrest this year. It didn't happen. But I think next year is going to spark a true Nate Desmond versus Jax Forrest battle rivalry for the next 3 years. So at 141 for next year, I'm going with the true freshman transfer, 141 Jax Forrest versus redshirt freshman Nate Desmond. Those are going to be my two finals picks for next year, Jax Forrest versus Nate Desmond from Penn State. And I think that's going to spark a huge rivalry between the two, Oklahoma State program and Penn State. Make a comment in the chat right now. Let me know who you think. If you think anybody else besides those two, let me know. I do think Eckamandia is so tough, and he really wrestled Vega tough too. But I don't think anyone can out-scramble those two guys. And Desmond beating Luke Lildahl was just so crazy, and he just seems like a dog. If you go watch Connor Pierce's and Marcus's Blaze podcast, when he comes on, you're just like, yeah, that guy's got that it factor of I'm not going to lose to anybody. so I'm going with Jax Forrest versus Nate Desmond, and my overall pick will be Jax Forrest to win it. So I'm going to go with Jax Forrest champ. All right, moving on to 149. And I appreciate you all listening. I know there's 4 of you in the chat. It's 12 o'clock. Some people have lunch break. They're probably walking, doing stuff, getting moving like I advocate. But if you're listening, you all rock. I appreciate all of you. Just a local PE teacher from Connecticut trying to help grow the sport of NCAA wrestling. I also am the head coach for the New Haven wrestling team, where we have the best pizza and best team. So let's go. I also coach with Nick Newell at his gym, one of the best MMA fighters to come out of Connecticut. He's an awesome friend, and I coach youth wrestling there too. So anything to do to help promote the sport is what I'm here for. So let's keep going, though. All right. Now, this is where things get a little bit interesting. Vega might be even thinner than Forrest, like muscular-wise, but nobody can take him down. So we got Vega, the returning champ, as a sophomore. He won it as a freshman, first one since 1947. Insane. Undefeated national champ freshman, true freshman since 1947, and then Jax Forrest did it an hour later. Versus Shane Van Ness, who has not gotten it done at the tournament, but I want him to win so bad. Returning national champ from 2024, Caleb Henson, because Ridge Levitt beat him in 2025. Aiden Valencia, national champ from Stanford as a true frat. This might be the craziest weight class. I cannot right now. Holy cow. Jackson Joy, who was the 2 seed. Sergio Lemley. Ryder Block. Oh my gosh. 149 might become insane next year if this is true. but they're missing a huge name. One huge name that we all know if you're a wrestling fan. Bo Bassett. I think Bo Bassett's going to come in right away and be a national title contender. I don't see how he's going to lose to any of these guys. My only thing is, I do think that, he's on the same team as Henson, so this looks like Bo Bassett might not be able to wrestle. We'll see, because Caleb Henson has to wrestle next year. If Bo Bassett isn't in at 149 and Caleb Henson's there, I don't think Henson's going to beat Van Ness or Vega. But I do think Valencia could come in and upset one of these two. Wow, this is really tough. My initial pick was going to be Vega versus Bassett. But with Caleb Henson there, and he's just coming off his red shirt, now it's really getting interesting. Because I had for a lock for the NCAA finals pick, Vega versus Bassett. But wow, this is insane. You can't. Thank you, Richard, for watching. I completely agree with you, man. Jax Forrest is an absolute dog and must-watch TV. Really similar to Mitchell Messingbrink. He's just an absolute beast, and just seems like a great kid to watch wrestle. And he's an awesome person to have for our sport. That's what it's about. He's changing the culture of wrestling for sure. But this is insane. Sergio Vega versus Shane Van Ness would be a sick finals, because that Van Ness that we saw versus was it Swiderski at 149, where he just kept attacking him, and he did dead fish to take him down with 1 second left. Like, he broke him. That was sick. But Aiden Valencia beat Shane Van Ness, and he's the returning champ. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do something crazy. I'm going to go with real sophomore Aiden Valencia versus real sophomore Sergio Vega. Champ versus champ, both undefeated going into the national finals next year at 149. Vega versus Valencia. NCAA finals. 149, 2027. Calling it right now, and I'm going to lean towards Vega, because if Jesse Mendez can't take him down in folk style, I don't think anybody's going to take him down in folk style next year, unless he gets a little tired. But I'm going with Vega for the pick. Vega for the win. And Oklahoma State's going to go back-to-back. So right now I'm at 125. We had Provo versus Lilidal. I got Provo winning. 133, we had Seidel versus Davino. Unless Ono wrestles for Penn State, I have Ono winning. But if he doesn't, I'm going Seidel. 1 for BT. If Jax Forrest is wrestling 141, he's my guy at 141 for sure, over Nate Desmond. And they're going to start a huge rivalry between Penn State and OK State in the finals. And then at 149, if Bo Bassett's not there and Caleb Henson's just there, who I do truly believe is an absolute animal and, of course, national champ, I think it's going to be handed down to the sophomores, though, with Sergio Vega and Aiden Valencia. 2 returning national champs as freshmen going into the NCAA finals next year. Undefeated sophomores, never lost. Someone's going to lose their first match ever in the 2027 finals with Vega versus Valencia. And I don't mean to do it, but with all the drama at Stanford and his teammates leaving, I got to go with Vega, because who's going to be his practice partners for Valencia? And Jesse Mendez, the man who shares my name, I thought it was going to be the Hodge winner, and he was going to be the first person to take down Sergio Vega, but unfortunately, that was not what happened. Vega is way too good in those scramble positions and cradles everybody up. Or at least locks his hands together to get that cradle for 3. So 149 right now, we got Vega for the win, and him versus Valencia in the NCAA finals. So let me know in the chat what you think. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Just a local PE teacher from Connecticut trying to help grow the sport of NCAA wrestling and help my students and supporters get moving. All right, let's move on to 157, everybody. And I really appreciate you all taking the time out of your day to watch, even if it's just 4 of you or 4,000. I'm going to talk like there's 4,000. All right. Here's where things get pretty interesting. If you didn't watch my last week's video for Penn State predictions, please go check that out, because I don't think Tyler Kasak's going to be wrestling 157. I think PJ Duke will be wrestling. No, I know PJ Duke will be wrestling at 157, unless Kel Sanderson tells him, and it's like a big thing on social media, that he's redshirting. PJ Duke definitely went there to be a 4-time national champ. Undefeated too. I think that first Charlie Taylor match was unbelievable. That was not a takedown. And then obviously it's way more controversial with the Landon Robideau match. Sure, there's that new footage with the no lock, but that hasn't been really confirmed. I think he was robbed regardless because the ref shouldn't have stopped the match. Let it keep going until it's confirmed. But at 157, we're just going to go off what WrestleStat has. We have Tyler Kasek, Cannon Webster, Landon Robideau, the returning champ, Trelly Taylor, who took first last year or 2 years ago now at 2025. Maya Shapiro does not finish always. Cardenas. Lots of people. Now, I just realized I'm missing the kid from NC State just transferred yesterday. So Daniel Zepeda. So if he shows up at 149, that's going to make things interesting too. But I still don't think he's going to be Vega or Valencia. Regardless, back to 157. If PJ Duke is wrestling, he's my lock for next year for sure. But going off of what WrestleStat has, Tyler Kasek versus Landon Robideau in the finals. And it's really tough to pick against Penn State or Oklahoma State in the finals. But again, this is where I really think it's going to be the test year for Oklahoma State to get really close to bridging the gap between them and Penn State. And I think Oklahoma State's going to have another win over a Penn State guy in the finals with Robideau beating Tyler Kasek on points. So I'm going to go with Robideau over Kasek. Now, if that's PJ Duke, I got PJ Duke beating Robideau in the finals for sure. PJ Duke, I'm calling it right now. I don't believe PJ Duke's going to lose another college match the rest of his career. He is way too good. Similar to Mitchell Messingbrink. Mitchell, I said, wasn't going to lose one after his loss to David Carr. He's not losing another one. So I got Robideau over Kasek, but if PJ Duke is in, I got PJ Duke being the dark horse, or not the dark horse, being the lock for the tournament if he's in the tournament for next year, 2027. Again, Penn State has a lot of great guys coming in. Jaden James, Will Hankel's at 174. All these guys, we're not really sure where they're going, but I still think PJ Duke or Tyler Kasek will be the guy at 157, unless Joe Seeley knocks out both of them and takes the spot. Joe Seeley, you're an absolute beast too. But right now, just going off of what WrestleStat has, I got Robideau over Kasek. Robideau was a true freshman national champion for David Taylor. And again, I still think Penn State's going to win the team tournament just because they have Josh Barr, Mitchell Messingbrink, and more people to score a lot of points. But I think the rivalry is really going to spark and be very close. Maybe like a 30-point team win over Oklahoma State. So I'm going to go at 157. Unless Duke is wrestling, he's getting the win. But Robideau over Kasek. Roby over Kasek. But that's going to be my finals pick. Unless Duke is wrestling. Tough to bet against Robideau after he won a national championship as a freshman. You want to see them continue. You want to see them get 4, right? I mean, it's tough. Moving on to 165. This is an absolute lock. This is the only lock of the tournament, I should say, unless Joey Blaze comes out for a huge Vision Quest. Nobody is defeating Mitchell Messingbrink. Nobody. It's not even close. That's the only thing about having a guy that's that good. First off, I don't remember where he placed this year, but he wrestled that well. Don't remember much about Cody. Bryce Hepner has another year. The only person that Mitchell didn't bonus. Okay. That makes things interesting. Wow. So if you don't know about the Bryce Hepner match, Bryce was pretty much getting onto the stretcher because he got hurt during the match, stopped wrestling Mitchell Messingbrink, defended his 2 takedowns, almost took him down twice. And then that was the only person that Mitchell didn't bonus the whole year. He had 26 bonus victories. So winning by more than 4 points at least, more than 8 points at least. And Bryce Hepner did a great job. However, I think Mitchell's going to be the first wrestler ever next year, him and Josh Barr, to bonus everybody for 100% bonus. And nobody is stopping Mitchell Messingbrink next year. It's going to be not his breakout year, but his dog year. That's his lock year. He is going to win it all for sure and be the Hodge Trophy winner again. Or he'll share with Josh Barr because I think they're both going to bonus everybody next year as well. So 165, not much to talk about here, but just for the fun of it, I would love to see Mitchell Messingbrink versus Bryce Hepner in the finals because that was a great match at this year's quarters, and I think it would be awesome to see Mitchell versus Hepner, and I think Mitchell's going to major him at the minimum. Mitchell with the win. See, I just feel like I got so much calmer once we got to a weight class where there's just such a top dog like Mitchell Bessingbrink. But he's the man. Like he's such a beast. So right now, that's my first champ for Penn State. So right now I got 125. Who did we have? We had Provo over Luke. Seidel over Davino. Unless Ono's in. If Ono's in, he's winning it. Forrest over Desmond. Big over Valencia. Roby over Kasek, unless Duke's in. And then 165, Mitchell over Hepner. Because I want to see that match happening again. If you're watching right now, I know it says 4 people are watching, so really appreciate you. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe. And also, start chatting in the chat. That's what it's there for. I'm here to live stream. If you're disagreeing with all my picks or think I'm crazy or talk fast, please write it in the chat. I don't care. Moving on to 174. All right, so Levi Haynes officially left the weight class. He graduated. What a great champion he was to have for Penn State and an awesome leader for their team. Loved watching Levi Haynes, but junior Christopher Minto lost to him 8-6, 2-1, and 2-1 in the Big Ten finals and the NCAA finals. Both super boring matches. Both kind of crazy calls. He did get stalled out for that point, and then that crazy figure 4, the head. I do not have Ladarian Lockett. He didn't even place this year, I believe. He's a beast, but unless he starts really listening to Coach Taylor, it's tough. We got Simon Ruiz, Cameron Steed, Bo Montano, who had a great year. Gabe Arnold, tough to root against him, but he said he was at 210 before the season started for this year. I think he's going to go up a weight class. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with AJ Ferrari, Angelo Ferrari. I don't know if Gabe Arnold's going to cut all that weight again. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. He's huge. He's a jacked kid. I mean, he just took 6th as an All-American or 7th as an All-American at 197. He's a beast. But here's the name I wanted to look for. William Henkel. My coach, or he's from Connecticut. He goes to Team Tugman, which is awesome. And my coach from high school coaches there too and knows him. And when he says he's the best wrestler he's ever seen, I believe him. From one All-American to the next, I think Will Henkel is going to be wrestling Christopher Minto in the finals. And I do think this is going to be another standout wrestler at Penn State with Will Henkel winning the championship. Oh, you're having a Connecticut bias. Yes, I am. But how could I root against the Connecticut guys? Let's go. And he's just an absolute beast. What was he, a 2nd on the world team last year at the trials? So I don't know. Will Henkel's an absolute beast. Lockett has to lock in for David Taylor because he should have been an All-American. And I know, like, everybody's been there where you get really sad and you lost your goal. Like, I get it. But I don't know. I got Minto versus Henkel, 2 absolute beasts. Unless Minto starts putting up crazy points next year, and he definitely could because he's an animal, I don't see anyone besides him versus Henkel to win it all. I would love to see Iowa get a national champion with Gabe Arnold, but I just don't think he's going to be at 174 next year. I don't think he can win at 197. And I'm not sure what they're going to do with Angelo Ferrari, so it's really tough for me. Gabe, love watching your stuff, man. I think you're going to be top 3 at this weight class, and I think you can also win it. But right now I'm going to go with Minto versus Henkel, and I think this will be Penn State's 2nd national champion. Minto versus Henkel, and I got Henkel winning it. And yes, he's getting that Connecticut bias, but he's an absolute beast. I don't care what anybody says. Henkel versus Minto. Again, though, they have Jaden James coming in, Will Henkel, Asher Cunningham, all these absolute animals on the Penn State bench. So we're going to see what happens with the lineup. I can't wait for all that stuff to get released along with the transfer portal stuff because I'm sure like Flow Wrestling, Bosch are all talking about that stuff today. But I think I'm getting ahead of the game here with talking about next year's picks. So let's see what happens. And you can always make videos like this, so I could keep going if I want. All right. Moving on to 184, chat. Aiden Sinclair, who was the 1 seed, but has not been able to beat Angelo Ferrari from Iowa. So if you're new, this is a sophomore, junior, sophomore. Again, the top 4 from this weight class were freshmen and sophomore. There's a lot of great guys at 184. And I'm pretty sure Angelo Ferrari is trying to stay at Iowa. And I think he's going to be their next national champion. I think it's going to be him versus McAnally. No disrespect to Aiden Sinclair or Welsh. I think they might have figured out Rocco Welsh. Similar to Angelo Ferrari's style with like not shooting enough and wrestling really, really tough. And Rocco's a beast. Don't get me wrong. He would destroy me or anybody. But I think Sinclair's got that nonstop shooting, and same with McAnally. And McAnally won a lot on overtime, so I don't want people to clip that and say, oh, he doesn't know what I'm talking about. But McAnally, once he got that takedown done, like he's really tough to score on. So, and he wins most of his matches in that overtime. But I do think Angelo was injured this year, and we're all just quick to say he has that bad, and I do think it's stalling. Don't get me wrong. I do think it's stalling when he gets to that 3-point stance. But I do think he really got hurt wrestling Rocco Welsh. But when he was healthy versus Sinclair, he beat him the first time, fair and square in that scramble. He beat him the second time in that crazy scramble. But I think he was just beat up. I mean, he had to go through Sinclair, then McAnally. Like, that's a tough side of the bracket, right? Rocco Welsh didn't have to wrestle any of these guys. So I'm going to go with Angelo Ferrari versus Max McAnally. I think McAnally's going to get a W over Aiden Sinclair, and Ferrari's going to finally get a win over Rocco Welsh if they're on the same side of the bracket. But for next year's pick at 184, how can you bet against him? I'm going with Angelo Ferrari over Max McAnally. And then after that, I think Sinclair is going to go back-to-back because he'll be like, all right, I'm tired of losing to these guys and just wrestle with Ben Askren. But 184, I got Angelo Ferrari over McAnally, the returning champ, right? Being the returning champ, he's got to be the 1 seed, and I'm sure Sinclair's going to be the 4 seed. I don't see Ferrari losing a match in the season besides Rocco Welsh, so that's why he'll either be the 2 or the 3. And then I think Ferrari's going to beat Sinclair again at the national duels. So it's really tough for me to really predict where they'll be ranked by then. But if the matchups happen, I do believe Ferrari versus Sinclair is going to happen, or Ferrari versus McAnally is going to happen in the finals. And I'm going to give my edge to Ferrari to win it all at 184. Ferrari over McAnally. And McAnally's a beast. It's just tough to repeat when you're a junior, right? These guys are still hungry, and that's a tough weight class to repeat at. These guys are all beasts. Like, these are grown men, jacked, super fast, can scramble, love to score. Don't shoot that much, but love to score. Moving on. This is another one of those weight classes where it's kind of boring and things kind of get quiet when I'm talking about it. Similar to 165 with Mitchell Messingbrink. Not much to talk about here. Josh Barr is an absolute beast. He beat up Cody Merrill. He didn't major him, which I really thought was shocking but again, like, these are kids. Like, this is like, what's he, 21, 22? Like, he's young. Like, this is his national finals. This is his life goal. And he beat him by a few points, which was awesome. But I really do believe Mitchell Messingbrink and Josh Barr are going to be the first ever wrestlers to have 100% bonus, and they'll be the first ever teammates to have 100% bonus and win the national titles together. And that is going to be the edge for Penn State to win over Oklahoma State in the team title. I think 26-27 is still going to be Penn State. 27-28 is going to be a much closer thing. Much closer team race between Penn State, Oklahoma State, Iowa, Virginia Tech, and maybe not so much Ohio State. Iowa has a lot of good recruits coming in. I did this video a few weeks back. Didn't get much love, so try your best to go watch it and give it some love about the Brands brothers. I'm a big fan of them. I think they should not get fired yet. I think they should make it to 2029. I think Spencer Lee's going to win the Olympics in 2028 and then take over the program. But they have a lot of good recruits coming in. They got Leo DeLuca at 125. I'm sure they're going to buy some people this offseason, which isn't great for the program, but to fill in the spots at 133, 141. They have Angelo Ferrari returning. They have Harvey Ludington at 197, Ben Keeter. They might get AJ Ferrari, Gabe Arnold. Like, they still had 7 All-Americans this year, so they're going to be in the run, but not quite as good as Oklahoma State versus Penn State. And again, I just think having Josh Barr and Mitchell Messingbrink on the same team to get all these bonuses is just huge. And I'm going to go with Josh Barr rematch over Cody Merrill in the NCAA finals. But both Barr and Mitchell will have 100% bonus for next year. So I got Barr right now over Merrill, a rematch for next year. Josh Barr over Merrill. Not much to talk about there. Josh Barr, I just do believe is going to major or tag Cody Merrill next year in the finals. I do think Merrill's an absolute beast, and I love that he wrestled for Daniel Cormier, but nobody's beating Josh Barr. I'm sorry, people. He's way too good at wrestling, and it's awesome to have for the sport. For somebody at 197 to nonstop score, it's just incredible. I will just never forget watching his Rutgers match in the third period, 0-0, 90 seconds left, and he texts the kid. Like, did he try? Like, I don't know, man. He's way too good to watch. Love watching Josh Barr. You're my pick at 197, man, over Cody Merrill. All right, moving on to the last weight class where things can get interesting at heavyweight. So let's see what WrestleStat has here. Ben Keeter, number 1. Nick Feldman has another year. Wow. Did he even place last year? I don't recall. Christian Carroll, Cole Mirasola, Nathan Taylor, Dayton Pitzer. Now, where's the name I'm looking for, people? Where is the name I'm looking for? Because Oklahoma State just proved they can get four freshmen in the national title conversation, and 3 of them won. And they might have the most athletic and best freshman to come out of the state of Iowa since Ben Keeter with Drayshawn Ross. I think it's going to be a great match between Drayshawn Ross, who is phenomenal at wrestling. I think he's going to make the finals. I know Cole Mirasola beat him last year in freestyle, but watching Drayshawn Ross's highlights this year, I was just like, holy cow, this kid is an absolute animal. Ohio State kind of fumbled the bag at NCAAs this year, so I'm not knocking on Nick Feldman at all. I think he's an absolute animal. But I think Ben Keeter coming back, and what did he take? 5th this year as an All-American? And he had a hip surgery, and then he had a crazy surgery 2 weeks ago where his heart stopped. Like, how can you not root for the kid to come back and try to win it all next year? So I'm going to have Ben Keeter over Drayshawn Ross, true freshman, both from Iowa, and Keeter's gonna little bro him and be like, I was the Iowa guy a few years ago. I get this. Now, I'm not saying Cole Mirasola and Nick Feldman can't do their thing, crush the competition, but I just know that David Taylor is gonna have his guys peak at the end of the season again and have Drayshawn Ross ready. It's really tough to vote against Ben Keeter, especially after having a crazy surgery a couple weeks ago. His heart stopped. Like, this is a guy you want to root for to win, because that's what it's about for wrestling. He keeps wrestling, doing his thing. And if he's wrestling another Iowa wrestler in the finals, I mean, come on, man. Like that's crazy. That would be unreal. But those are my way too early picks for next year's 2027 NCAA finals picks. I also have my champions in there at 125. My lock, Nico Provo from Connecticut over Luke Lilja. If Ono wrestles at 133, I have him winning it. But if not, I have Seidel over Davino. 141, Jax Forrest over Nate Desmond to spark a huge rivalry between Penn State and Oklahoma State between the wrestlers. Vega versus Valencia, both undefeated sophomore returning champs. Somebody's losing their first match ever at 149 next year. 157, Robideau over Kasak, unless PJ Duke wrestles. Again, this is going to be sparking that Penn State versus Oklahoma State battle in the finals, with Duke winning over Robideau if Duke does wrestle and not redshirt. Mitchell over Hepner. Mitchell's going to get 100% bonus next year, calling it now. Henkel versus another CT represent. Henkel over Minto from Nebraska. Minto's a beast too, but I got to lean towards this Connecticut kid with Will Henkel. 184, I got Ferrari. I think a Ferrari brother needs to win the national title next year just to make the sport more interesting. People love rooting against the Ferraris, even though Angelo's done nothing bad to the sport. Angelo's a beast. And I got Angelo winning over returning champ Max McAnally. 197, the other 100% bonus for the year. My pick, Josh Barr, who's an absolute beast to watch. And at heavyweight, I have Ben Keeter, who just went through a hip surgery. His heart just stopped a few weeks ago during his other surgery, over a true freshman from Iowa himself, Drayshawn Ross. Thanks for joining, everybody. I'm your host, Coach Cala. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Share this video. I'll be doing my best to make another Matt Chat this week. I have a half marathon on Sunday, and I'm doing stuff, doing another paper and stuff before school. But really appreciate you all joining me. Means a lot. Just a local PE teacher from Connecticut that loves talking NCAA wrestling. So appreciate all of you. And comment below who are your NCAA finals picks for next year. But I'm out, everybody. See ya. Get moving.